What's going on, people? Welcome to the season review. 23-24 season is over, and we are here to review it all. Played by Patrick, T, AJ, and Stan. As always, if you do enjoy the content, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to help the algorithm, and let us know your thoughts and your review of the season in the comment section down below. On the agenda, of course, Roy part of the season versus Glasner part of the season, the transfer window, looking ahead, our player of the seasons, and more as well. Gents, before we do get started with the conversation in general, just as a Palace fan, has there been a better time right now? Patrick, I know you've watched Palace for like 90 years. Has there been a better time right now supporting Palace than any time before?
Yeah,
even including the era moment.
I would feel Pat's going to know for sure. Yeah,
he's was sure. Better. Third in the league, you know, FA Cup final. Yeah, I mean, yeah, but this is the closest it gets to being.
Okay, let me change the question. In the Premier League era, in the Premier League era that win right now.
Never.
It's crazy, isn't it? Like, I genuinely can't wait for the next 3 months to be over. And to see Palace
to see him right back on the pitch.
Exactly. Right. And normally, when it comes to the end of the season with Palace, I'm like, even last season under Roy, when we won all those games, I was like, all right, cool, season's over. Jeez, it's been a long season. Let me rest. But now I'm like, no rest. Like, I'm ready. Bring on the next game. We'll step out there. We'll do the match reaction next weekend if we have to. Like, I'm ready to step back out. It's just a weird feeling. It's a weird feeling right now with Palace, and I think a lot of Palace fans feel about this. But then again, this season hasn't been as straightforward. In the same season that we're just going to be talking about, there has been protests, there's been banners that we haven't seen before, as well as 7 games unbeaten. It's been a wide range of emotions, hasn't it, AJ?
I agree. It's been day and night. Story of 2 halves of a season, really, and then many other idioms I'm pretty sure I could think of. You know, it was only early January, things were looking bleak. We were talking about relegation. Everyone was just upset, fed up. Like, nobody really was feeling it. The times are hard out here, man. And then that amazing Austrian man has come in and changed my life forever. Like, you know what I mean? Like, with, you know, 2 little wicked signings to improve the squad that were excellent. And we've just been looking up ever since, man. Like, you know, going on Twitter is crazy right about now, man. We're getting linked with players. We've got Fabrizio Romano reporting us. We're getting players through the door early. Allegedly, Mr. Freeman has rejected advances of bigger blood money. I see it. So, yeah, man, it's crazy times we're living in, man. And I'm here for it, man. I'm here for this ride. Let's go.
Let's get the first half of the season out of the way, because I think it was a chore. That's the best way for me to describe it. It felt like for the majority of the first half of the season, and that's basically that's the whole time Roy was here. It was a case of what were we doing as a football club. That's why it's kind of wild, the fact that now I'm looking forward to so much under a different manager. But I personally felt like we got it wrong before the season even started by bringing in Roy in the first place. And in a way, I did feel bad for him, because it was very hard for it to be successful from the first game to the last game. I just knew at some point there's going to be a blip. I just think the last 10 games of the previous season, yes, he's done fantastically, but we just didn't enter the season with that much optimism. Maybe we won a few games at the start, and then afterwards, reality slowly started kicking in, and things started going downhill, Stan. It just honestly, for the Roy era, it felt like a chore. It felt like a chore watching Palace. The fact that we had to boo the players off the pitch as well, which was wild at the Bournemouth game. We had banners at the Arsenal game. We've had problems with the HF and the club as well. Just everything seemed like it went wrong on and off the pitch, with injuries and managers' comments. Like, nothing was going right for us.
It didn't happen.
It was this season, which is crazy. I know. It was this season, and we have to talk about it, of course. Like, it happened. If we're reviewing the season, it did happen.
It was grim. It was really, really grim. Listen, I went back in September and watched the game, and I remember leaving that ground completely and utterly deflated. And that was only the beginning of the season. And I was like, my God, we have not just regressed 5 years or whatever we decided to go back to, but that's what it is. And it got toxic. It got ridiculous, really. But I'm so glad that it's over and that better times are ahead. That's all I can say.
Yeah, Patrick, you was here as well. You was, of course, known for your views on Roy. You never wanted him to stay. Beyond the last 10 games of last season, you got personally fed up. You didn't want to even do content because you just didn't enjoy watching Palace. And you actually flew out. And you experienced some of that atmosphere as well. For you as a lifelong Palace fan, for the first half of the season, of course, we've had worse times, but was you shocked by some of the banners and the protests and all of the off-field issues that was going on? Because we've seen it in the past. Like we've had protests, but that's to save the football club rather than change the ownership structure. We really haven't reached levels that we reached this season. Was you shocked?
Well, I have to correct you, D. It's actually not one half. It was actually 2/3 of the season under Hodgson. 24 matches out of 38, which is amazing. It felt like only half, but it was actually 2/3. But listen, when I flew over in December, I went to the West Ham game with Nick, and I actually enjoyed the experience. I mean, yeah, we had some injuries. Like Eze didn't play that game, and we got a 1-1 draw, and it was great to be there. But the turning point for me was, obviously everyone knows how I felt about Roy, but when I went to the Bournemouth match, and I sat in there and I saw the atmosphere, how the fans reacted. And then you, me, and AJ did that post-match in the cold in the fan zone. And we were all calling for his head that day. That's when I knew that this couldn't go on much longer. It went longer than I thought, but I knew right then he couldn't last much longer. And the Liverpool game, although I enjoyed the fact we did our best, I knew that was a false dawn. Everybody got all gassed up. Oh, we lost 2-1 to Liverpool. We're up 1, and then you red card and the late 2 goals. But I said to myself, all that did was, and I remember saying it to you at some point, that just prolonged the inevitable for me, keeping them around. You know what I mean? Just kept them longer. So being there, it was very surreal. Like I'll always say, I love Palace with all my heart, and going home was great. But those 2 of the 3 matches were the most painful matches I've ever sat through in my life. Bournemouth, they were bad. It was really tough to go through. So you're right. Just being there, honestly, it was tough to deal with. It really was.
And T, when you look at it, we did have injuries. Now, there is this debate, were these players managed properly? Is that why we picked up injuries? But when you look at the season as a whole, and when you're looking at what we've been doing under Glasner with Eze and Elise fit, do you think at times maybe Roy was harshly criticised due to not having as many players available and fit that Glasner's had?
Man, hard to say, man, because Glasner's had his share of issues too. I mean, he lost Lerma. He lost Gahey for a long time. You know what I'm saying? Like, and he made do, and he made it work. He
lost Johnstone. Remember, he
lost Johnstone. He hasn't had Eze and Elise for every single game.
It's called using his squad.
Yeah. And he's had to make that balance, and he's had to make it work within a different system. Halfway, more than like Patrick said, 3/4 of a way through a season. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like he's had his complications too. I think my feeling is that probably Roy just wasn't at the races as far as making the true adjustments that we needed to have in order to truly be successful, or trying to be a little bit more innovative in his approach. We're asking a guy to do that's been in the game for longer than most of us have been alive. You know what I'm saying?
That's the thing. I think that's where the problem lied, because he has been in the game longer than I've been alive. I think that's a fact. But yeah. I think the problem that I had was his mentality. He kind of didn't. He hasn't gone with the negative comments that he made about the youngsters, about survival versus top 10. Like, it just always felt negative. It always felt like he was just happy with staying up rather than pushing on. Mm-hmm. And I just didn't like that, because as we're seeing right now with the squad, I think this squad has got the players to push on. And I think as we're seeing, even if we move the Eze and Elisa combination out of it, which is a massive combination, we're seeing with Glasner, some of these players that have played under Roy, Yogi Manis, for example, under Roy was different to Glasner. Will Hughes has been different. Nathaniel Klein has been different. I just don't think he got the best out of these players. And that's why it was annoying, because I wish he left on a high. And I'll be honest, the most annoying thing about this is that, for me, if you want me to be real, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I know some people might be annoyed, but he made me hate football. He made me hate football watching it this season. He made me. I disliked it. And
he made Patrick hate us.
That's not me.
Patrick just left. I mean, he hated us.
That's me just being like, we've done this before. Like, we've done the survival thing, and we tried to. We've tried to. You know, we should be trying to push on now. But I just don't think he matched the attitude. And his comments about the youngsters annoyed me. His comments about the fans annoyed me. He just left on a sour note. It was annoying. It was annoying how he left it, because he should have left on a high. He should have left on a high. And
his stubbornness and his stupidity was like, he just flogged the same players every single week. It was like going back to the days of...
That's what turned a lot of people off.
Yeah.
I know some people still support him to this day, and that's why I asked a question about the injuries, because some people say he didn't have to play fit. But for me, if you look at what Glasner's doing and what Roy done with some of these players, I just don't think he got the best out of the squad. And it was sad how he left, because of course he had the health issue. I would have liked him to leave with that press conference that was planned before the health issue problems, and had that event and had a proper goodbye. And we haven't had that with him, and hopefully we do have that with him one day. But I struggled this season without sounding spoiled watching Palace, because it did feel like a chore, and it shouldn't feel like that. And even right now, Glasner, of course, we're winning games, but it's not about just winning games. It's about the mentality and the comments and everything about it, which just didn't sit right with me. I don't think that was Palace. Palace should be a side that even if you don't win games, we should be going for it. And that's when the fans are behind you. And that's why everyone is behind Glasner right now. And talking about everyone being behind Glasner, let's talk about Glasner. End the season, of course, with 7 games unbeaten. Look, when he first joined, there were some people saying what's changed between Roy and Glasner. For me, I think those comments were wild, because we were trying to build something and people expected instant results, whereas, he hasn't even had pre-season. But I've had faith in him. Of course, Stan, you called for him whilst Roy was still in charge, I'm pretty sure. Look, we end the game 7 games unbeaten, 6 wins. Glasner's showing what this squad can achieve, right, AJ?
100%. It's quite funny. We were literally just talking about the whole Roy versus Glasner comparison. You essentially gave him the same team with the same issues, but he was getting, I guess, a case of just his mentality and just the way he speaks, that the confidence. He's obviously going to that training session every day, even, and then picking those players on the weekend or in the midweek and showing the faith and having the mentality to be able to just sort of sit there and say, listen, I'm going for every win. Every game I'm going for a result. Like, just having somebody being able to stand there and just say that breeds confidence, probably just not in the team. But I mean, even as a fan, I'm sitting there, and when he's saying it, I'm believing it with confidence. And what you got to also look at is, as the weeks went on and he did get Elise and Eze into the team, we got better. And the results showed that. We spanked Man United 4-0. We beat Villa 5-0. Mateta scoring hat-tricks. If you had said that to me a year ago, I would have laughed in your face, 100%. I would never have taken you seriously. Like, I was having Bournemouth fans talking smack to me about levels to this game. Now I can turn around and be like, listen, hold that. You see what I'm saying? So...
Could say it's a couple of United as well.
You know what I mean? So, no, Man United fans, your next season, bro. We're coming. But in all fairness, he's just given us a bit of a swag to us, a bit of a swagger to us, a bit of a, I wouldn't even call it arrogance as such, because we've never really been in a position like that. But the way he just speaks, his presence, he is a winner. He is a successful manager. And the way he just walks in with chest and goes, yeah, we are targeting winning every game. We should be doing this with these players. We should be taking this to this next level. He is talking like a manager I've never really seen before at Crystal Palace, in my time anyway. So everything and all my trust and everything goes behind this man. I loved Vieira.
He kind of spoke about it, but
I think the thing with Vieira was I loved Vieira. And I thought Vieira was an excellent manager. I thought Vieira was done dirty towards the end. But it's different with Glasner. I can't quite describe it, but it's different with Glasner. I think the thing is with Vieira, he had the reputation, and he already had the sort of I want to call it street cred as such, but he had the credentials to kind of back that in terms of what he achieved as a player and his emphasis on the Premier League.
Yeah.
Whereas Glasner comes with a European trophy behind his back, and he's able to walk in there and be like, you know what, I've done it before. This is what I see. This is what I want. And when you are seeing that performance on the pitch to support that, it's not showing up if you can back it up. Then it's simple.
I wanted to touch on the Vieira thing because everyone knows I was a massive Vieira fan, and I would never say anything negative. I think Vieira had, as a great player, I mean, World Cup winner, invincible, etc. He had that pull, so the players respect him. Remember, a couple of players I know, for instance, Zaha was an Arsenal supporter when he was a kid, so you had that, right? He attracted Gahey. Don't tell me he didn't. He attracted Gahey. He got Anderson to come there, but he didn't have. We didn't have a backroom staff that was competent, which Glasner has. And as much as I loved him, he didn't have the tactical nous that Glasner has. Glasner has a tactical nous that is brilliant. Okay. And what I'll add to Glasner is this, right? I'm not afraid to criticize players, but I don't really like to kill players. There are two players that I thought, honestly, were done at Palace. One was Will Hughes, because I saw him play against West Ham, because we played him out of position as the number 10, and he's running around like he had like a headless chicken. And Glasner turned that man into a more than competent center midfielder with
that's
Morton.
his actual position.
True. But he actually played number 10 as a kid. He played number 10 at Watford. He could be not now. He was a 10 at Derby, at Watford. So true, Stan, but not at Palace. And also Joel Ward and Nathaniel Klein. I never killed Klein, but I used to kill Joel Ward as a right back. He turned Joel Ward into a very competent right center back in a 3-man defense, which is unheard of, because Dino used to always talk about, the right wing, need a right wing back and right back. But I never thought, okay, maybe you get a Munoz at right wing back and then put Joel Ward as the right center half, and all of a sudden now we're cooking. And that's what happened. So Glasner's ability to make players better, and I'll go quickly to that Marbella training camp was 1,000% so critical to our season. Getting him to get those players in a training camp, get those ideas across, get their fitness levels up, which you saw right after, having a time off and playing real matches was massive for us. And it came middle of the season. And as Dee even said, him coming without a preseason was crazy. But to think that what he'll do in August and July for next season is ridiculous.
And I think the timing of Glasner was very important. Look at all the managers that's going now and getting sacked. And not only that, when we're talking about, we're going to be talking about transfers right after this. When we're talking about all these players that were rumored to be leaving Palace, I think for 100%, a lot of them would have left. If Glasner was to join today, a lot of them would have left, just like Wilf left. And the reason for that is because imagine how much of a chore it was then and how toxic it was then. But the fact that Glasner's coming at the right moment and has had an opportunity to prove himself to these players, I think that's changed a lot of things. I think now I'm way more confident that these players maybe are willing to, be here for another season, to give it a real go, to see what we can achieve. Whereas before, if we're questioning as a fan base in terms of what we wanted to achieve with banners and everything else out there, then imagine the players there with the quality, likes of Eze, Elise, Gahey, Anderson, like they 100% would have looked up, because Palace just wasn't the place to be. But right now, it does feel like it. We've not only had potentially a director of football rejecting, as AJ said, Newcastle, and Glasner rejecting Bayern Munich. We're having some of these players now, with reports suggesting that they are happy at Palace. So the timing of Glasner has been very important to what's going to happen next season as well, because we don't know if Glasner would have still joined Palace. I know that was in the line for the summer, but with Bayern Munich being available before the summer, window, he could have potentially joined Bayern Munich. He could have joined, all these other clubs. Look how many managers left. So I think the timing of Glasner has been very important to our potential future, to the future of the football club, and in terms of pushing on. And it's good that we made the call at the right time. I don't think it was the right time of getting. I think we could have got rid of Roy a bit earlier. He dragged on. But it was still good to bring him in, and that's where you have to give credit to the board where it's due. But just quickly, what do we think Glasner's done then? Patrick, you mentioned about fitness levels, but T, what do you think Glasner's done to get the most out of these players? Joe Ward, I did think that he has a future at centre-back in, you know, as he gets older. But Nathaniel Klein, nowhere on earth would I have predicted that, for example. Or, you know, Will Hughes' form, as Patrick mentioned. Like, he's getting the most out of his players. Is it a case of fitness and a bit more tactical discipline from Glasner? Is this why we're playing like this? Because it seemed like the players love him. I mean, I remember when Elise scored that goal. He ran to Glasner. It seemed like there's that connection. What do you think?
I think he's a man with a plan. He has an understanding of his system and what he needs from each individual person in each individual spot. So when it comes to training up a player to play in a certain area, a la Nathaniel Klein at right center back, Nathaniel, here's where I want to play you. Here are all the things that I need from you. Bop, 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 bop. And here's how we're going to work on you being able to do all those things. Bop, 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 bop. He's a man with a plan. I think that makes the huge difference. And him having a plan has led to our team having better conditioning because he understood this team needs better conditioning. Here's my plan for making that happen. This team needs better discipline. Here's my plan for making that happen. I think he just had an understanding of what he needed to do and how he was going to go about accomplishing that. And I think he said that from the beginning. You know, he's like, I'm not a magician, but it's going to take time. But I do have a plan, and I do see where I can get this team to and what they're capable of. So I think at the end, that's really what it boils down to, is he had an understanding of what he wanted to do and what he needed to do to get us to a certain place, and he did it. And he's continuing to do it.
Yeah, he's continued 7 games unbeaten. We end the season on a high. And yeah, it's fantastic right now. As I said at the start, like, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to the summer window based on everything that's been happening. I'm looking forward to it all. And I think this summer window is going to be absolutely massive for us in terms of kicking on. If we do want to keep some of these players, we need to show ambition. It's not a case of, oh, we got great starting 11. No, I mean, Joachim Andersen's mentioned it a few times about improving the squad and seeing what we can do next season. I think these players want more players in the squad. You know, it only helps them. It only helps with competition. It only helps with depth. It only helps with cup competitions. And, you know, in potential future, if we do ever reach a level, if we do ever reach a Europe, you need depth. You need depth. So you need to start building it. You need to, if you want to reach that level and you got a European, you got a manager that's won the Europa League, which is ideally the level that we want to reach, you listen to what he needs. He's done it. He's done it. And if it's more depth, and 100% we do need more depth, we go there. We go there. But now this is a good segue, unless anyone wants to say anything about Roy or Glasner before we move on.
I want to talk to you. Just rein it back in. I heard you on the Palace News, this Europe talk. Back it up. Let's win a cup first. Just back it up a little bit if we're talking about Europe, all right? One step at a time. You have to walk before you can run. So you and T,
you know what? Let's we're gonna talk about quick bod predictions for next season towards the end. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. Let's talk about the summer window, not the summer window, the transfer window that we've had. In the summer, brought in França, Henderson, Holding, Lerma, Winter, Wharton, Munoz. Let's quickly start with the summer window. Was our summer window good enough? Apart from Lerma and Henderson in the second half of the season, those players, well, Holding especially and França, they didn't really have the impact that maybe we expected. It's weird. I think Lerma was the one that was consistent throughout the season. Why do we think that was? Were these more squad players that just didn't get opportunities? But we look at the summer compared to the winter.
I think the problem was the alleged plan was obviously for Wilf to sign a new deal and then obviously try and paper over the cracks. And I think in not getting a proper replacement for him and putting and addressing key areas in the team with a aging manager who kind of just got on with whatever we could sort of pull out of thin air didn't help. I thought Lerman was an exceptional signing. It was ironic because we got him in early and we got him for free. And for me, he was our player of the season. That's just my personal opinion anyway. Henderson essentially paid towards the end because he started turning up in terms of his performances. And he did come in handy, let's be honest. Obviously, with the injury to Johnson, you got to call a spade on this one.
was in goal for the rest of the season.
There you go, bro. There you go.
You made some wild comments about Henderson.
Yo, I gotta say, don't even stand.
Stan. Don't talk to me about my England internationals, bro.
There you go.
Don't talk to man about my England internationals. I'm not having it, bro.
I'll hold my hand up.
I'm not having it, bro. I'm not having it.
Fair play to him, though. He turned it around. That's what you want to see.
You compared him to Wayne Hennessy. I could never get over that.
Can't have that, bro. Can't have that. I think the France thing. I don't think we're gonna anticipate. I'm not anticipating any fruition with that, at least for now. But if he's got the quality, I'm convinced Glasner will get it.
You don't
I think if the quality's there, I think Glasner will draw it out of him, and that's a really good point based on what Glasner's improved pretty much a lot of players in that team as well. I've been seeing a lot of his moves on social media as well, and it's almost like he's still pining for the whole Flamengo thing, but maybe that's just a bit of a cultural related thing as well. But the rest of the players, Holding, pointless. Let's call it what it is. Like, he was pointless. Like, the whole signing of him, waste of salary, waste of wages. I feel like that, we could have probably gave that O'Brien a chance, or maybe looked at an Imre coming into the squad, but hindsight, innit? But it wasn't the greatest window ever, but I felt like it was just papering over in the cracks. At the time, it was exciting because it was just new players, innit, coming through the door. So I think at the time, any player would have probably gassed us up and excited us at the time. But now, reflecting on those players, 5, 6 out of 10, give or take, if we're talking about just the summer itself.
I still think Holding picked up an injury. It wasn't ideal. He picked up an injury in the worst moment as well.
But I mean, that was the thing about him coming in, though. That was the thing about him coming in. That was the knock. It's like he's never healthy.
Yeah, but then it's not like he purposely, it's not like he played.
No, it's never a purposeful thing. It's never a purposeful thing. But you spent money on somebody you knew this could be the situation with. Therefore, the move was.
I still think Holding was good business. Like for the
he wasn't. At the end of the day, Rob. At the end of the day, let's call it what it is.
He will be. I think he will.
I think at the end of the day, I think Arsenal finessed us straight. At the end of the day. Arsenal sold us a England international defender, centre-back, in a season which they were competing for all fronts for £4 million. You didn't think that was a bit weird?
No, it's not 4 million. It's like 1.5 million. It wasn't 4 million. You guys are way off.
Oh, sorry, even less than that. Sorry, Patrick. So even less than that.
Nothing. Yeah.
Listen, bro. When it looks like a good deal in that level, you have to raise your eyebrow, bro. Anybody that's worked in sales.
All I can say is now, would I rather have
what's going on
of Rob Holding? I'd rather have $1.5 million. I'm just saying.
No. Yeah, come on. And let me ask you this: would you rather have Rob Holding?
What has he done for us? What has he done for us?
Bro, he's wasted more money than we spent on him. Because what's his salary? What was his salary? Probably 50K a week.
I will see the benefits next season when this rotation.
Will we? Will we? I don't know.
How do we know that? How old is Will Holding?
He might be.
How old is he?
He's
Rob Holding even
28 or something. He's not that old.
He's not that old.
He's
in Premier League terms,
he's 29 in September. He's 28 years old.
Yeah, but he went to Nashville.
I think he's better than having Tompkins. I think it's forward planning from the football club. It's like Tompkins was always
right. I'm going to challenge that exact point you just said, right? You just said, D. You just said you thought he was better than Tompkins. Come on, bro. Who played more games?
No, I'm saying I didn't say that. I think I would rather today have fit Holding than fit James Tompkins, because as I've said, I think it's forward planning from the football club.
Holding?
That's the point. I agree with T on this. I agree with T.
Nah.
He turned out to be a waste of money.
Now, again, it's real early to make that shout on the guy who just got here in Jan. I'm sorry. You can't do it. You gotta listen. You gotta get fit. Tompkins wasn't fit, by the way, most of the second half of the season. But he didn't play. Tompkins was injured half of that second half of the season. That's why hardly saw him, by the way. So I'm with
Tompkins made the bench more than Holding ever would have.
Okay, again, I'll say I'm not going to dispute his injury because he was injured. But I'm saying, as far as D's saying, I agree. You're planning to lose Tompkins. You have to have a veteran backup. Wherever you can have a veteran. Pay 1.8 million for Arsenal for Holding. If he never even plays, let's be honest, we don't really need him to play. You need him to be in the squad, but you need him in emergencies like the Carabao Cup game he played against United. You don't need him to play every single week or sit on the bench and then moan about not playing every week, you know? So for me, yeah, injuries were a problem, but we didn't need him. I think it's more of a planning for next season. If we play a tour next season, I might argue with you about the wages, but the fee we paid for him, guys, is nothing, man. It's
no, but the only reason why I'm disagreeing with that, because as far as I'm concerned, when he did play, he didn't do anything. He was pretty whatless.
I remember against United. Yeah, against United.
And he was whatless.
Against United.
I think he played once.
Tell me one good thing he did in that game. Tell me one good thing he did in that game.
Who done good in that game? We're talking like
we got smacked 3-0 in the cup.
I mean,
well, he didn't make it any better, did he?
No, but
bear in mind, most experienced player in that team, you know.
No one was great.
He was probably the only trophy winner in that team, and he was probably the most experienced player in that team.
Just picking on Holding is kind of wild to me. He's not like a 30 minutes outside.
That's not me picking on him. That's just giving you facts, bro. That's not me picking on him. That's me giving you facts. Tell me anything I just said that is a lie.
All right, I'll give you facts. He wants to kill Holding, and so he played against the game against United. He was on the bench right away. Man United League, Forest League, Newcastle League, Tottenham League, Burnley League, Everton League, Luton League, and he was on the bench against April against things. He was on the bench like Tompkins was from a lot of the season. So what's the difference?
You might as well say the 1.5 million and the salary, and then
the difference is Tompkins wasn't costing us $2 million plus the wages.
Tompkins. Can we move? Can we please?
Thank you.
Okay, let's move on.
Let's move on.
Yeah, let's go on. I think the main signings. I never expected to speak this long about Rob Holding. I think the main thing, France next season. I'm excited to see what Glasner could do under him. I'm not writing him off. I know people have written him off, but I think this season, let's remember, he's come to a new country. He's picked up an injury even before he came here. He solved problems halfway through the season as well. He wasn't really that supported by Roy based on his comments. So I think it's the perfect time to kind of rest him towards the end of the season, even if you could have played games like just like Hamada as well. I know Hamada had more opportunities, but yeah, those players are for next season. Now, our season pretty much depended on and changed with Adam Walton and Munoz. I think that was it. And what signings there have been, and especially with Walton and both of them, to be fair, both of them I think has had massive impact to the team, and we needed those players. I don't think we are playing as good as we are under Glasner without Munoz on the side and without Walton. So that was fantastic from Dougie Friedman once again.
Fantastic from him. He'd been after Walton for a long time. He'd obviously spoken with his family, and spoken with him and stuff like that. And I remember speaking to someone I went to school with that is a Blackburn Rovers supporter, and I said, do you think that he will be as good as Conor Gallagher for us? And he said, please do not insult me and compare Adam Walton to Conor Gallagher.
And he's not wrong. He's not wrong.
But he is just, he's the real deal. That kid is, and he's only going to get better. That's the biggest part of it. He's only going to get better. And Munoz as well. He's exactly what we needed in that position. Exactly. We should have signed him about 5 years ago. But yeah, both of them brilliant.
I don't want to go into a long Conor Gallagher thing, but let's be fair. Just to be fair, footballing wise, there's no comparison, but impact wise, very comparable. Conor Gallagher was massively impactful for us. You know, so I'm just saying, I don't want to seem like we're killing Conor Gallagher. I'm not killing him.
I'm not killing him.
As a football player, but as an impact, they both were equally as good, I think.
And extremely impactful at the same position in a very different way, Patrick, which is very interesting.
But but Walton is also your zippy, your end-to-end, like your high-intensity guy, right? And we really missed that. He's your end.
The biggest difference is Walton is a Crystal Palace player, which Gallagher wasn't. He was on loan. Like that's the biggest difference as well about it. We still have Walton next season, which with Gallagher, that pretty much changed, and the rest is history. And he's gone back to Chelsea. But
overall, I have a question, D. Yeah. Sorry, you're talking about transfers, right? Now, in the past, we've actually never used our loans very well. It's always been a loan option to buy. You think on the Glasner though, we'll actually use some loans? We always have 2 or 3 international, local loans that we can actually in the next step will be actually bring a player in, get a look at him, don't pay the full fee, and then have the option in the season to buy because it's Glasner. It's not Vieira or it's not, you know, Pardew or Hudson? What do you think?
I guess those conversations will be held with Glasner in terms of maybe if we do need a few players and the opportunities are there, then I don't think club will hesitate. I think the club will be more keen to back Glasner, especially if it improves the depth. But I think the club has been hesitant on the loan market because it has helped us in the short term, but in the long term, it's kind of not benefited us. We've kind of developed other teams' players, which, you know, is good for a season or two, but then we've kind of moved on from that. So as long as there's an option to buy, I think the club will be more than happy to use the loan market. It makes so much sense. But that's the thing. A lot of clubs don't want to include that because, you know, they don't want to lose those players. They want us to develop them, which, yeah, I guess if the opportunity is there, and I guess if we do need players, if Glasner wants it, then yeah, I think we will be more likely to use it. So let's see what happens this summer, because ideally you want transfers, of course, with depth. But loan market for depth could also make sense as well. But yeah, it just depends.
I think one more thing regarding the loans as well is a lot of these clubs that are sending their promising young players on loan, etc., etc. And boy, could we have done with one or two of them the first half of the season. They really, really want them to play, and I think the clauses are heavily incentivized in the parent club's favour that if these players don't play, then like Palace would have to pay them X amount, etc., etc. So it depends like where the loan would slot in, or would they bring in someone permanently? You know, because first 11 wise, I think maybe one or two additions, and we're pretty good, but it's just having the depth as well. So are you going to bring in a loan for depth? Probably not a promising youngster. I don't know. Like, yeah, there's a whole conversation we could have, right? So,
yeah. Let's talk about the player of the season then. Of course, JP and Joachim won both men's player of the season, which was a bit weird to see. And it's not even me hating. I was shocked that they both won it. Maybe Joachim more than JP, because I don't think Joachim Anderson throughout the season, if we're talking about player of the season, I don't think he's had a particularly great season, especially in the first half before Glasner's joined. After Glasner, he's reached levels he's reached, but if we're talking about throughout the season, I don't think he's reached it. For me, we'll go through everyone's player of the season personally. For me, my player of the season would have been Lerma. If we're talking about from game 1 to 38, yes, he's picked up a few injuries, but I think even when we were absolutely terrible and when some of the players kind of gave up and it just didn't look great, Lerma 100% gave the effort from minute 1 to the last minute, and I think throughout the season he was fantastic. Even in our bad times, he still performed. There were games where no one performed, but Lerma did. So for me, my player of the season was Lerma, and that's me looking at the season as a whole. But I guess recency, and not in just recency, JP scoring the amount of goals he did, there's a good shout for him. But I was surprised with Joachim. But let's go around quickly. I'll start off with UT. Who was your player of the season?
Ooh, this is a tough one because I feel like
you can't give me no double ones. We're not doing
no. I'm just saying it's tough because you're saying I feel like you give a player of the season for multiple seasons in one with us in this case.
Well, I was looking at from game 1 to game 38, but
yeah, for being holistically trying to put it all together, a picture of consistency. I'd give it to Tariq Mitchell.
No, I'd
give it to Tariq Mitchell.
Shout. Patrick?
I understand thinking about Lerma because he was very good, especially the value for money. But for me, it's got to be JP. Talk about a player. Yeah, talking about a player went from scoring like 1, 7, and 5 goals, scoring 19. When he gave the award, I think he scored like 14. And it wasn't just under Glasner, because we know he scored 13 to 13 under Glasner. But even before, he was scoring goals towards the end of Roy's tenure. Roy kind of got him going with hold-up play and everything. So the evolution of Jean-Philippe Mateta, the finishing, the link-up play with Eze and Elise, he's gone to a different level. I mean, none of us, and again, I'm always going to say, I was one of the biggest supporters. None of us thought he'd get to this level. I didn't think that. I thought if he scored 10 a season,
I'd never said it.
Yeah, you didn't. That's why we had that bet about Mateta.
I've never said it.
Exactly. Yeah. You're right. You did. I take it back. Yeah, I'll say yeah. D thought he would. I didn't think he'd get that far. So for me, the levels he's gone to. I mean, you're talking about a guy now being linked with Napoli. I mean, seriously. So for me, it's probably JP.
Yeah. Stan, AJ, any different player of the season for you?
It was Tyreek for me as well. I voted for him.
Mitchell's a shout. I never really thought about it. For me, Lerma was just in my head. Whilst throughout the season, I was always thinking Lerma's winning this because of how he's been performing.
People like I can never understand Palace fans that slate him. I love him. I think he's come through our academy, and he is a solid 6, 7, 8 out of 10 fullback every single game, and he has been for years. And Glasner's bringing him on, and he's to top it all off. He's just a really nice fella as well. So and he's quite good at football. Yeah,
well, he is. Apart from Southgate, seeing it, but everyone else can see it. AJ, for you.
For me, it was 110% Jefferson Lerma. I think one word I've heard quite a lot is consistency. He was just consistently putting in minimum 7 to 8 out of 10s per game, constantly running, putting everything he had, left it all on the pitch. I think also the fact that he was played in multiple positions as well, and he just looked comfortable. As far as I was concerned, that was my player of the season. I think it was an excellent bargain. I think he just slotted into the team straight away, got down to work. He was brilliant midfield, contributed with goals, assists, tackles, playing that bloody centre back as well. So Lerma was my guy this season for sure.
Let us know your...
Go ahead.
No, go on.
D and AJ, I have bad news for you. You'll play this season, ain't starting next season.
Whoa, crazy but true.
He's not starting next year.
That's not bad news. That's not bad news.
I'm not saying it is. I'm saying right now he's not starting next season.
He's been our player of the season this year. Like, it still doesn't change.
Fair.
Great.
We shall see.
But
we shall see.
Is that not a problem that you want to have? That's such a good problem to have.
100%.
Potential player of the season, not starting next season. That's good.
If you'd have said that in January,
exactly. It's good. It's good sign. Yeah. But talking about next season, let's do quick early predictions. Of course, we'll do like a season preview before the season starts, which is in months away. But what's our expectations then? After the form that we ended the season on, what are we looking at next season as a sign of success? For me, minimum top half, and the aim, as I mentioned, I want it to be European football. That should be the aim if we do keep everyone. But anyone, any higher, any less? What are we expecting?
Runs in both cups, and depending on draws, obviously get Man City away first round in both of them is going to be tricky. But if you get a decent, we shouldn't really fear anyone. We should have runs in both cups. If we have the depth, please can the club back this manager? I beg you. And that's what I said. And just solid top half. And if we can get into to any sort of Europa Conference or Europa League space, which I personally think it might be a step too far next season, but we'll see. But yeah, just a season. Entire season of being positive and having positive things to talk about and progression and something to look forward to, just be amazing.
Anyone else predicting cup runs? What's going to be success for us?
For me, I'm looking 7th to 10th is something that I'm more realistic about. I'm not going to go top 6 because I think that's hard to break into. I think Glasner has shown that he can. If you look at the table from the first half, or the second half, you see how bad for like a top 6 side, which is ridiculous.
We were.
Right, 6. So, and for me, it's always a cup run. Now, my favorite cup is obviously the FA Cup because the prestige, but I always find that realistically, a club like Palace, you could sneak the League Cup, at least semi-final, because a lot of the big clubs don't take it seriously until they get to the final. Chelsea, Liverpool, Man City won't take it seriously to get to the final, and they're going to be worried about, European. And next year, Europe's harder because they've got a league now, not the knockouts. So it's much harder now, more matches, etc. So for me, we can go 7 to 10 and get to the final of the League Cup and hopefully win it. That would be the best season for me in a very, very long time.
Yeah. T and AJ quickly.
I'm pretty much on the same wave. 8th to 9th in league, a cup run, and hopefully one, if not both. And then at the top, ideally, the outside chance of pushing into Europe.
Yeah. I think we're all on the same length, AJ, in terms of aiming high, unless you just want the club to stay up. Some people do still and not get relegated.
I'll tell you what, 8th place finish and we're winning the League Cup. That's it.
Yeah, I think we need to take the Carabao seriously. Well, I just want us to win a trophy. Yeah.
Spud, Spud.
We just need to. We need to take it. We need to take it. We need to
say women. I said a run in both cups. And a run means like to quarterfinals.
Nah, because if we win the league, if we win the league cup, boys, we're going to Europe anyway.
Win the league.
I'm gonna say you win it.
Listen, remember, this is what you're not forgetting. Listen, remember, Glasner knows how to win in weekdays, bro. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
He knows how to win weekday evening fixtures, 8 o'clock fixture. Like
he's what's it called? Yeah. Domestic treble. It's on, lads. Don't worry about it.
Hopefully. Let's not jinx it.
I'm not jinxing it, lads. I'm messing.
Thanks to every single one of you that's been supporting us throughout the season. I know people have joined the channel at different points. We really appreciate you all. Thanks to every single one of you. As I said, it did feel like a chore at times talking about Palace, but we all went through it together. For large chunks, it was like a therapy session more than anything with the match reactions and everything that we've done. But towards the end, we finally got rewards. And as I've said, the future is looking bright. Hopefully, we build on it this summer. But as I've said, thanks to everyone who's also got involved. Patrick, T, AJ, Stan for another season as well. We're hopefully working on better and bigger content next season. But look, the content doesn't stop here. Make sure to check out the Palace news, which will most likely get posted as well. But if you have enjoyed it, like, subscribe, people. Keep safe, people. And once again, thank you to all and every single one of you. And until next time, up the Palace.